So this is extract 25 of Terry Pratchett's Truckers. There was a clang down below. One of the humans had given the door a kick. Temper, temper, said Dorcas mildly. You've thought of just about everything, said Maskelyne admiringly. I hope so, said Dorcas. We'd better make sure, haven't we? He stood up and produced a large white flag, which he waved over his head. There was an answering flicker of white from the shadows on the far side of the garage. And then the lights went out. Useful thing, electricity, said Dorcas in the darkness. There was a rumble of annoyance from the humans below, and then a jangling noise as one of them walked into something. After some grunting and a few more thuds, one of the humans found a doorway out into the basement, and the rest of them followed it. Don't you think they'll suspect something? Said Maskelyne. There's other humans working in the store, and they'll probably think that they caused it, said Dorcas. That electricity is amazing stuff, said Maskelyne. Can you make it? The Count de Ironmongery was very mysterious about it. That's because the Ironmongery don't know anything, sniffed Dorcas. Just how to steal it. I can't seem to get the hang of the reading business, but young Vinto has been looking at books for me. He says making electricity is very simple. You just need to get hold of some stuff you call uranium. I think it's a kind of metal. Is there some in the ironmongery department then? Said Maskelyne, hopefully. Apparently not, said Dorcas. The thing wasn't very helpful about this either. I doubt if you are ready for nuclear power yet, it said. Try windmills. Maskelyne finished putting his possessions, such as they were, into a bag. When we leave, he said, you won't be able to talk, will you? You need electricity to drink. That is the case, yes. Can't you tell us which way we should go? No. However, I detect radio traffic indicative of airline activity to the north of here. Maskelyne hesitated. That's good, is it? It means there are flying machines. And we can fly all the way home, said Maskelyne. No, but there may be the next step. It may be possible to communicate with the starship, but first you must ride the lorry. After that, I should think anything is possible, said Maskelyne gloomily. He looked expectantly at the thing, and then noticed with horror that its lights were going off, one by one. Thing, when you are successful we will talk again, said the thing. But you're supposed to help us, said Maskelyne. I suggest you consider deeply the proper meaning of the word help, said the box. Either you are intelligent gnomes, or just clever animals. It's up to you to find out which. What? The last light went off. Thing? The light stayed off. The little black box contrived to look extremely dead and extremely silent. But I relied on you to help us sort out the driving and everything. You're just going to leave me like this? If anything, the box got darker. Maskelyne stared at it. Then he thought, well, it's all very well for it. Everyone's relying on me. I've got no one to rely on at all. I wonder if the old abbot felt like this. I wonder how he stood for it for so long. It's always me who has to do everything. No one ever thinks about me or what I want. The shabby cardboard door swung aside and Grimmer stepped in. She looked from the darkened thing to Maskelyne. They're asking for you out there, she said quietly. Why is the thing all dark? It just said goodbye. It said it won't help anymore, Maskelyne wailed. It just said that we have to prove we can do things for ourselves and it will speak to us when we're successful. What should I do? I know what I could do, he thought. I could do with a cold flannel. I could do with a bit of understanding. I could do with a bit of sympathy. Good old Grimmer. You can rely on her. What you'll do, she said sharply, is jolly well stop moping and get up and go out there and get things organised. What? Sort things out. Make new plans. Give people orders. Get on with it. But do it now, she snapped. Maskelyne stood up. You shouldn't talk to me like that, he said plaintively. I'm the leader, you know. She stood, arms akimbo, glaring at him. Of course you're the leader, she said. Did I say you weren't the leader? Everyone knows you're the leader. Now get out there and bloody well lead. He lurched past. She tapped him on the shoulder. And learn to listen, she added. Huh? What do you mean? The thing's a sort of thinking machine, isn't it? That's what Dorcas said. Well, machines are exactly what they mean, aren't they? Well, I suppose so, but... So Grimmer gave him a bright, triumphant smile. Well, it said, when she said, think about it, it could have said, if. Night came. Masculine thought the humans were never going to leave. One of them, with a torch and a box of tools, spent a long time examining fuse boxes and peering at the wiring in the basement. Now at least even it was gone, grumbling and slamming the door behind it. After a little while, the lights came on in the garage. There was a rustling in the walls, and then a dark tide flowed out from under the benches. Some of the young gnomes in the lead carried hooks on the end of thread lines, which they swung up to the lorry's covers. They caught, one after another, and the gnomes swarmed after them. Other gnomes brought thicker string, which was tied to the end of the thread and gradually dragged upwards. Masculine ran along, under the endless dark shadow of the lorry, to the oily darkness under the engine, where Dorcas's teams were already dragging their equipment into position. Dorcas himself was in the cab, rooting around under the thick wires. There was a sizzling noise, and then the light in the cab came on. There, said Dorcas. Now we can see what we're at. Come on, lads, let's have a bit of effort. When he turned round and saw Masculine, he made as if to hide his hands behind his back, and then thought better of it. Both of them were thrust into what Masculine could now see were the fingers cut out of rubber gloves. Ah, said Dorcas, didn't know you were there. Bit of a trade secret, see? Electricity cannot abide rubber. It stops the stuff from biting you. He ducked as a team of gnomes swung a long wooden beam across the cab and started to fasten it to the gear lever. Margot? No. How long is it going to take? Shouted Masculine, as another team ran past, dragging a ball of string. There was quite a din in the cab now. Threads and bits of wood were moving in every direction in what he hoped was an organised way. Could be an hour, maybe, said Dorcas, and added, not unkindly, we get on quicker without people in the way. Masculine nodded and explored the rear of the cab. The lorry was old, and he found another hole for a bundle of wires which, at a squeeze, would take a gnome as well. He crawled out into the open air and then found another gap which led him to the rear of the lorry. The first gnomes aboard had dragged up one end of a thin piece of wood which was now acting as a gangplank. The rest were scrambling up it now. Masculine had put Granny Morky in charge of this. The old woman seemed to have a natural talent for making frightened people do things. Steep! She was shouting at a fat gnome who had got halfway up and was now clinging in fright. Call this steep? It ain't steep, it's a stroll. You want me to come up there and help you? The mere threat budged him from his perch, and he nearly ran the rest of the way, ducking gratefully into the shadows of the cargo. Everyone had better try to find somewhere soft to lie down, said Masculine. It could be a rough journey, and you must send all the strongest gnomes up towards the cab. We're going to need everyone we can get. Believe me. She nodded, and then shouted at a family that was blocking the gangway. Masculine looked down at the endless stream of people climbing into the lorry, many of them staggering under the weight of their possessions. Funny, but now he felt he'd done everything he could. Everything was ticking over like something that went tick. Either all the plans would work, or they wouldn't. Either the gnomes could act together, or they couldn't. He recalled the picture of Gulliver. It probably wasn't real, Gerda had said. Books often had things in them that weren't really real. But it'd be nice to think that gnomes could agree on something long enough to be like the little people in the book. Well, it's all going well then, he said vaguely. Well enough, Granny nodded. It'd be a good idea if we found out exactly what was in all those boxes and things, Masculine ventured, because we might have to get out quickly when we stop and... I told old Torrit to see to it, said Granny. Don't you worry about it. Oh, said Masculine weakly. Good. He hadn't left himself anything to do. He went back to the cab out of sheer, not boredom, because his heart was pounding like a drum, but out of restlessness. Dorcas's gnomes had already built a wooden platform above the steering wheel and right in front of the big window. Dorcas himself was back down on the floor of a cab, drilling the driving teams. "Right," he shouted, "give me first gear." "Pedal down, 2, 3, chorused the team on the clutch pedal. "Pedal up, 2, 3, shouted the accelerator team. "Lever up, 2, 3, echoed the gnomes at the pedal gear. "Pedal up, 1, 3, 4, the leader of the clutch team threw Dorcas a salute. "Gear all changed, sir," he shouted. "That was terrible, really terrible," said Dorcas. "What's happened to the accelerator team, eh? Get that pedal down." "Sorry, Dorcas." Maskelyne tapped Dorcas on the shoulder. "Keep doing it," Dorcas commanded. "I want you dead smooth all the way up to 4th. Yes? What? Oh, it's you." "Yes, it's me. Everyone's nearly on," said Maskelyne. "When will you be ready?" "This lot won't be ready ever." "Oh. So we might as well start whenever you like and pick it up as we go along. We can't even try steering until it's moving, of course." "We're going to send a lot more people to help you," said Maskelyne. "Oh, good," said Dorcas. "Just what I need. Lots more people who don't know their right from left." "How are you going to know which way to steer?" "Semaphore," said Dorcas firmly. "Semaphore?" "Signal with flags. You just tell my lad up on the platform what you want done and I'll watch the signals. If we had one more week, I reckon I could have rigged up some sort of telephone." "Flags?" said Maskelyne. "Will that work?" "Well, it had better had, hadn't it? We can give it a try later on."